Vitus has just released their latest trail bike, the Mythique, and they asked me to take it for a ride. So, although it's November and it's pretty wet here in the UK, I thought the perfect place would be North Wales because there is a fantastic story to tell you about how bikes like this came to be. The UK is well known for having 4 seasons, which typically consist of rain, wind, rain, and the odd bit of sun here and there. I mean, if we only rode in fair weather, we wouldn't get much riding done. But thankfully, in the UK, we have got a network of incredible man-made trail centres, like this one here in Coed Y Brenin. And they're not only designed to handle immense amounts of mountain bike traffic, but also the worst weather possible. Located in the Snowdonia National Park, Coed Y Brenin is actually just down the road from the wettest place in the UK. That gets around 2,600 millimetres of annual rainfall. And also, Coed Y Brenin is home to the first ever mountain bike trail centre that actually dates back to 1996. When Sir David Davis MBE and his trail crew started those original trails here in North Wales, they kick-started an entire new era of mountain biking. And that first trail that appeared in 1996 was not only the first official mountain bike trail in the UK, it just might have been the first one in the world. Today though, there are 8 trails ranging from green to black to suit riders of all skills and abilities, and there's a fantastic skills area too. Now the area is run by Natural Resource Wales, and there's going to be a link down there so you can find out more about what Coed Y Brenin has to offer, and of course all the other facilities that Natural Resource Wales look after. The modern day trail bikes are incredible. They've got really sturdy frame construction, they've got confidence inspiring geometry, and they've got suspension performance that's actually really close to the capabilities of enduro bikes, but with a package that's better suited to all-round riding, up, down, over, along, and everything in between. But it wasn't always like this. And those early mountain bikes, well, some of them had front suspension, and if you had money falling out your pockets, they had rear suspension as well. But the point is, those early bikes weren't genre specific like this. They weren't cross-country bikes, they weren't trail bikes, they were just mountain bikes. So as mountain bike trails started developing, so too did the bikes and the technology. Cross-country bikes started being more focused, more lightweight, and just general intention was to be as light and fast as possible. And then there was downhill bikes at the other end of the spectrum. You saw travel from 100 to 150 millimetres, and because they were so heavy, they were just seen as completely impractical for anything except sending down the side of a mountain. But by the early 2000s, Fox gave us the Talus and RockShox gave us the Silo. Both those forks had travel of around 130 millimetres, which was firmly outside of the downhill and the cross-country realms. They were absolutely prime for the new trail centre movement that this place, Coed Y Brenin, started. And following from what Coed Y Brenin started, other centres started coming thick and fast. In South Wales, you saw Cwmcarn, you saw Avon, you saw Glencorrig, you saw Breckfa, and then of course Scotland responded with the Seven Stains project. And the trail centre recipe is just brilliant. You've got a visitor centre, you've got a dedicated car park, you've got a bike shop to help you, you've got a cafe to fuel you, you've got skills areas like this to practice before heading out on the trails, and you've got loads of trails graded from greens all the way through to blacks. And each of them having their own absolute belter of a descent to reward your big ride out in the hills. Do you know, the coolest thing about this is this was the first of all the trail centres, and when it opened, before it even sort of gone all the way around the world, and started inspiring other spots. People came here to ride this from Europe and America and everywhere to ride these dedicated all-weather mountain bike trails. And what's really pleasing is, after all these years, I first came here in the late 90s, it still cuts it. It's still amazing now. It's just as relevant on the modern day trail bike. Absolutely amazing. This is the Vitus Mythique. Now this is their all new model. So they've had a Mythique previously in the range, but this one is completely revised, brand new frame design with loads of new features on it. Now it's an all aluminium model. There's 4 models in the range and they all use the same exact frame. Now the frame itself is really familiar to me because I've actually seen a prototype of this when I went to visit Vitus in Northern Ireland fairly recently on GMBN. That video is going to be floating around down there. Check it out, that's a really cool video, and I was riding a different prototype in that one. And I also saw the second prototype of this when I was at Sea Otter earlier this year, which was so close to this. So it's really nice to see the working bike. Now this one is the top of the range model. This is the best one in the Mythique range, and it's called the AMP or the AMP, and it runs on 140 front and rear, and it's running on 29-inch wheels. Now the suspension design on here is your classic 4-bar design, but this one has been tweaked. So it's got some really cool stuff going on. Again, check out the video on GMBN Tech to find out more about the tech stuff on here. But what you probably want to be interested in is the price of this. This one in the UK retails for £2,399. What a bike, looks beautiful. Now, don't make the mistake of thinking that because it's got a pretty price tag that this is an entry-level bike. This is a serious performance mountain bike. It's designed by a team of riders that just design the bikes that they want to go out and ride at the weekends. Emphasising the point, check the video out that's down there after this one from GMBN, where I go riding with the design team. They're all absolute rippers. Now, this bike really is a true representation of the modern trail bike. So pretty much it doesn't get much wetter than this, and yet the trails actually have more grip when it's wet. It's crazy. They've built this place from the ground up, armoured trails to specifically resist erosion and be able to carry on hammering. I mean, you probably can't see this back there, but I'm like saturated. Cameraman absolutely soaked through, sorry Louis, but this is wicked fun. I want to keep riding a bit longer if we can. Absolutely mind blowing. And one of the great things about the Trail Centre is how the designers managed to build these climbs to get you to the top without realising you've even been climbing. The modern bike helps too. Like when you look at the old bikes, they had much more simple suspension that bobbed around all over the place. These days, the suspension on your bike actually assists you with climbing. You've got things like anti-squat that resist the bogging down as you're pedalling hard. Now, other than the physical effort, climbing on a mountain bike has never been so easy. At trail centres like this, there's 3 types of bike you're really going to expect to see here. Cross-country bikes, trail bikes, and enduro bikes. Now, cross-country bikes don't have a lot of travel, and therefore they're really efficient to ride. Enduro bikes have loads of travel, so you need the suspension design to be tailored to basically make them pedal a bit better, and you have to rely on things typically like the lockout on shocks. Now this bike doesn't have a lockout on this shock at all, and not once anywhere I've been riding it here in Snowdonia has it been a problem. That suspension design is so supportive thanks to the fact it's got 100% anti-squat in its lowest gear that it's just fantastic to climb. As soon as you click it down into those harder gears, you start rocketing, it feels great, it's nice and supple. It's just incredible the tech that you can have on a bike with 140 mil of travel and cost this little. Unreal. Whoever said that trail centres had to be tame, sort of just all-weather basic surfaces, Coed Y Brenin is far from that. Sure, it has got the non-threatening stuff, but it's got really rowdy, junky stuff like that. You've got big slabs, you've got natural stuff out in big terrain. I mean, let's not forget as well how beautiful it is up here in North Wales in Snowdonia. It's just a lovely place to be and ride a bike. And then of course you've got the shelter in the forest with ribbons of single track to belt on down. And a modern trail bike just gets the best from this because they've never been so good. Suspension's never been so active and comfortable on these bikes. The geometry has never been so inspiring. And probably my favourite thing of all about these bikes is when you go riding on them, they don't beat you up, which means the next day it's just rinse and repeat. It's great that Coed Y Brenin has stood the test of time. And actually, since I was last here, a lot of the trails, they've worn into the point that some of them are really quite gnarly in places, but in a roundabout way, it reflects the modern day trail bike that bit better. Now, there's undoubtedly a lot of great choice when it comes to trail bikes out there at the moment. It's never been such a good time to choose some trail bikes, but gotta say, you'd be hard pushed to find a brand that makes as much sense as what Vitus are offering right now. Now, this place undoubtedly for me is particularly special. I love what it stands for as the original place, so I'm going to go out there and say right now it's my favourite. But I'd love to know what your favourite official trail centre is. If you've got a particular spot you like to go to, maybe summer, winter, or weekends away with friends, let us know. Give us a shout out to your favourite trail that you ride in the comments down there. And don't forget to tune into the video over on GMBN Tech, where we go into all the details about the bike and what that means in terms of what you get as a rider out on the trail. And we'll see you in another video soon. Take care. See you later.